Of all the empires within Fallen Republic, there is one that stands out as the one that has been in the media the most recently, and that is of course the Mandalorians. However, the ones that we have in the game are not the ones from the Mandalorian TV show. No, this is before the purge of Mandalore. This is the Empire of the Mandalorians. Let's get underway and see what they are made of and what kind of abilities they will give you. Now, our Beskar-clad friends have a rather interesting starting position within the quote-unquote almost northern center of the galaxy, I would like to say, but this does not mean that they don't have the flexibility to expand into interesting places. First of all, we've got the Republic loyalists to the north, as well as a bit of the Empire, depending on what kind of star you're using. You can also have the Empire having more vassals throughout the game, which basically means they're a lot more powerful. However, as you are the Mandalorians, you do have the opportunity to expand in a lot of locations, such as you can go towards the south to the Tamab hegemony over here, or at least the Authority. They are inferior and can be easily be overthrown and take their worlds for your bustling economy, because, to be fair, your economy is not going to be all that great. First of all, you start off with 6 whole systems, including, of course, Mandalore, and there it is, and of course, Concordia, the planet next door. Then, of course, we got the Kavala that's right next door, and Mandalia over here. These are just the 4 planets within your capital. All the other ones are somewhere else and are going to give you the opportunity to produce a little bit more. You're going to be really low on minerals at the start of the game, so you're going to need to get that space minerals up and running as fast as you can and try to expand to as many worlds as you can as well. Thankfully, there's a lot of habitables nearby, such as this wonderful little station that is over here, as well as this entire area that you can expand into. And like I said, getting population is not all that difficult, because you can expand, for instance, into this here Cathar Principality, or like I said, the Tanab Authority. And aside from that, it's usually a good idea to start expanding into the eastern fringes in the galaxy towards the Hutt Cartel. Now, let's take a quick look here at our setup of Empire. Of course, we are Bo Katan right at the start of the game. They are female, of course, and they've got a skill level of 1 at the age of 40. Civics are the Mandalorian codes, which means that we can live on more planets with a 10% habitability bonus, and we get more armor hit points. Plus, we are a warrior culture, which means that we get additional entertainers in our Unity and Amenity centers, which is always nice. We're heavily xenophobic and militarist, which will boost our ability to do whatever we want within the galaxy, as it is purge time galore, and of course we can reduce our claim influence cost modifier by being militarist, which is always good, because you are going to be claiming quite a lot of places. Then on top of that, we get a couple of additional bonuses here, but those are not all that important. Let's take a quick look here at our traditions. We got our standard expansion, domination, harmony, and then of course subterfuge, which is a special one where we can get additional housing, etc. But it's all about getting more rivalry influence bonuses. There's sadly no real subterfuge system within the game as of right now, and maybe in the future we'll see something like that, but sadly this is kind of underdeveloped. Analysis for your technology, supremacy for your supremacy, of course, you've got your war doctrines, etc. But the real wonders is Mandal motors that will give you access to the Mandalorian ships, and let's take a quick look at them. The Mandalorian ships are rather interesting in their designs, such as these early corvettes, the standard corvettes, and something a little bit more interesting here with this DP-20 as apparently called. I'm not all that familiar with the Mandalorian ship designs, but they do look very swanky. They are overall fairly focused on missiles. They can get a lot of firepower out, which is always good, and of course everybody gets access to the Nebulon B for some reason. The version of the mod I'm playing is not complete yet, therefore there's a couple of boxes with work in progress written on them, but also you get these wonderful things such as the Vengeance, the Mandalorian Interdictor, the Bevelin, which reminds me quite a lot of the Hurricane from EVE Online for some reason, because obviously in Rust we trust, and the Heavy Cruiser, and the Lictor heavy assault ship, And then, of course, we get the standard early Star Destroyer as well, the Kandozi early destroyer, and of course the Aggressor, which are some of the more powerful ships that you can get. You get your own starfighters as well, which is always nice. Are they as good as the Empire ones? No, they are not, but still they can go up to they can go up against them. They're not as good as TIE defenders though, which is a little bit annoying. But yeah, the Mandalorians can expand in a lot of directions, and you've been pressed down into this tiny territory since the Mandalorian Wars, since what, a couple of thousand years after this, before the start of the game. But still, yeah, you start out with 74 pups, which I think is rather nice. You have Desert Preference with a bunch of additional traits such as being Talented, Traditional, Strong, and sadly also Solitary. Mandalorians for some reason don't like other Mandalorians all that much. In terms of policy, expansionist, that goes pretty much without saying, and that is pretty much it in terms of the details here. Indiscriminatory bombardment. They will bomb whatever they want, and that's basically the way to go, because as everybody knows, it is in fact the way. Still though, Mandalorians by themselves are an interesting faction to play. You should definitely go and try them out, because the mod is out now, and you can find yourself the link for that in the description down below. Now, of course, Mandalorians have their own institutions, just like all the other empires. However, they, of course, have different modifiers, such as Gather Recruits, which will give you additional pop growth. Sabotage Operations, which basically means that whatever empire you're targeting at, well, they're gonna have a bad time on their ship hull points, or at least their starbase hull point, which means that you can roll over them relatively quickly. The Great Crusade, the classic Mandalorian stuff right there, where all of your army damage increases by 20%, but also increases your ship movement speed, as in the sublight speed, by 10, and your fire rate will increase quite significantly. Of course, you can always go for additional influence. But yeah, the institution system for the Mandalorians is incredibly powerful. Overall, the Mandalorians themselves are relatively interesting. They've got their own little starting area in the game that they have the opportunity to grow out of, and with relative ease, with a couple of small empires surrounding them, being able to be gobbled up relatively quickly because of the influence gain that you will have, because you're not going to spend that influence on anything anyway, because you can't really expand in any direction. Plus, there's multiple pirates around your starting area that will block solar systems that you can expand into, including such wonders such as Dathomir. Yes, that is in the game as well. Also available for you, the Conquer. Now, in the end, what is your goal here? Well, first of all, you've got your rebellion on your western fringes, which of course you can overthrow and conquer completely, but of course you're also going to need to go up against the Galactic Empire. But by the time you get to that point, they will be able to outgun you relatively easily. You won't have the massive firepower that the Empire has, but still you can overcome them by gobbling up most of the eastern side of the galaxy and trying to turn them into tributaries by using the wonders of course, the domination tree. Still though, the Mandalorians, very powerful, a lot of fun to play, and of course, as we all know, you should go and play around with this one, because I've been having quite a lot of fun. I want to thank my patrons for making this video possible, and until next time, make sure you take good care of yourselves, and as always, it is the way.